Good evening, welcome to the Pearl Report. I'm Diana Lin. In recent months, the government felled a number of these century-old stonewall trees in what many see as another faux pas in its seemingly relentless arboreal mismanagement. And over the years, the government replaced dozens of grass pitches with artificial turf that experts say is risky for ball players. And the government admits it's neglected soil erosion that's threatening tombs in an ancient cemetery. Producer Billy Wong looks at whether urban greening has gone awry.
A lot immense tree roots. It's a fun position to shoot it from Bonham Road, with that in the background. Until not that long ago, it looked like this.
There used to be 6 stonewall trees here.
This is how it looks now. When trees are sick or dangerous, you have to take them away. But I think relentless cutting of those trees, because maybe they're dangerous, that is useless.
Case Marcella takes his students on field trips.
Those particular banyan trees, because of the amazing structures on the walls, they're a great background for reportage, for portraits. These roots, they were just dangling there in the air. It's a strengthening organism in the city.
Professor Jim Chi-yong has studied stonewall trees for over 2 decades.
We are the best in the world in terms of stonewall trees. And this is a spontaneous growth. Human beings cannot reproduce this kind of growth.
They date back a century when the colonial government built masonry retaining walls at the bottom of slopes.
They quarry the stones piece by piece, pile them to stop the soil from slipping down. Because these stones have lots of gaps, it can accommodate life.
Bird droppings carry seeds that germinate in the rain-soaked soil, growing into the 1,000 or so stonewall trees in Hong Kong today. The banyan is a strangler tree. In the wild, it chokes a whole tree for anchorage. But in Hong Kong, as you see, these woody area roots grab the stone walls tightly and snake to the ground for support. We won't have any new stonewall trees because the government now uses concrete instead of stones to build retaining walls. They have also cemented the gaps of the existing stone walls, preventing the growth of new seedlings. Deborah Koo became the head of greening, landscape and tree management at the Development Bureau only 5 months ago.
There is a beauty and the beast scenario with our stonewall trees. We treasure them, but making sure there is a balance to protect public safety.
In July, a stonewall tree in Bonham Road collapsed in torrential rain, injuring 2 people. In the next fortnight, the government cut down 5 neighbouring trees.
Highways Department had noticed cracks in the parapet wall and a gap in the U-channel. There was quite a significant thunderstorm that was coming in. The trees were in imminent danger to public safety.
We get bad decisions when people are put into situations where they're having to make judgments outside their field of knowledge. They're not sure, they don't have the expertise about how all trees grow and how to deal with them and manage with them.
In late August, another stonewall tree collapsed, this time in Pok Fu Lam Road.
Stonewall trees actually have very little risk if you don't disturb them. It's almost entirely or due to human folly. We will continue to have some cowboy arborists who have very limited knowledge and skill how to prune a stonewall tree properly.
If you want to prune a tree properly, sometimes we cannot rely on machinery like aerial platform that most casual workers rely on.
Tree workers on aerial platforms usually can't reach as high as 25 meters to prune the top and innermost branches of tall trees, such as on stone walls. They cut only the outer rings of tree crowns, so the trees become unbalanced and more vulnerable to strong wind.
We need tree climbers to go up where it's hard for platforms to reach. When worried rotten branches might fall and hurt people, a tree climber has to clear the rot.
Lee Kam-fu oversees an exam that certifies tree workers.
After learning to climb trees, you can get into holes in trees, reach all parts and do very detailed work.
Here.
When you're up there pruning trees, you've got to be vigilant, watch the tree and people below. There are many wasps and giant hornets in tropical regions. Sometimes I prune trees with 4 to 5 beehives. Sometimes, if you don't look carefully, the bees swarm out and sting you. So tree climbing can be very dangerous.
Chiki Wong heads the Hong Kong branch of the International Society of Arboriculture that certifies tree workers worldwide.
There's need to regulation on the quality or also the qualification required to do the tree work at this moment. Maybe the government think that there's no such supply of workers, so they do not want to give such specification.
Is there a lack of specification on qualifications?
No, because at the end of the day, the qualifications are fairly comparable within the marketplace. In our contract specifications, we're clear about the performance outcome.
The government's attitude is rather ambivalent. On the one hand, I'm sure they want to raise the quality of the profession. But on the other hand, they are very reluctant to impose controls on the profession. Without this quality control, the profession will continue to linger in this low-quality sea rather than a high-quality peak.
Hong Kong has only 70 locally ISA-certified tree workers and about 1,000 overseas certified and uncertified ones. They manage hundreds of thousands of trees in the city.
There is a shortage. One of the things that we are doing is undertaking a human resource and competency survey to gain a deeper understanding into what kind of shortages we have, where it's at. And hopefully from there, develop an action plan to meet the short, medium and long-term needs of the industry and the market as well.
Why is there a shortage in the first place? Why?
Because the arboricultural industry here in Hong Kong is very young. It's quite natural right now, given the industry is in its infancy, to have this kind of shortage.
We have seen trees that are century old, so why is the industry so young?
Okay, that's something that's quite beyond my time. I think it's something that's evolved.
Maybe we didn't used to care about trees.
No. I think there's always been a care and concern for trees, but I think it's really about evolving awareness.
Currently, the Development Bureau oversees 8 departments dealing with trees: highways, leisure and cultural services, architectural services, housing, lands, water supplies, agricultural fisheries and conservation, and drainage services. Do you think it's a problem that we have responsibilities scattered around different departments?
No, it's not scattered, it's strategic. Each department is responsible for all their assets, of which trees make up. Trees sit in a landscape, in an urban environment surrounded by shrubs, walls, curbing, footpath. There's a totality of view that needs to be managed.
Li Fengyu also makes wooden furniture and accessories in his spare time, like these at his apartment in Camp Tin. A 20-year tree working veteran, Li earns $4,000 a day climbing and pruning trees. An uncertified tree worker can still make about $800.
There's so much to do in the market, so we need to train a lot of people in professional expertise to do a good job.
Chiki teaches a 2-year high diploma course in arboriculture and tree management at the Institute of Vocational Education, producing 50 graduates a year. Around 10 schools here offer diploma and certificate level training and 1 undergraduate degree course in the field.
The students today going to a field trip and then practicing on how to prune a tree, use pole saw.
Designed to reach high branches.
We have to learn a lot of stuff like soil, some kind of fungi, different species of plants. I would like to work in agriculture.
Coming up after the break, the controversy of turning natural grass into artificial turf.
Personally, I've experienced a lot more injuries on artificial turfs.
Also,
artificial turf can easily absorb a lot of heat.
Soil erosion in historic cemetery.
They used to rake the ground to bare earth.
That and more after the break. Stay with us.
Welcome back to the Pearl Report. The government keeps replacing natural grass pitches with artificial turf, even though its hazards are acknowledged worldwide. Producer Billy Wong asks why.
22-year-old James Ha is a striker for the Southern District Football Club. The team trains on artificial turf in the Aberdeen Sports Ground 5 times a week.
When I go on a pitch, all I think about is scoring a goal and making a top performance. Young players, they lack the awareness of how dangerous these pitches could get. Personally, I've experienced a lot more injuries on artificial turfs.
A year ago, James suffered an anterior cruciate ligament injury playing on the new artificial turf in Kowloon Bay.
The first thing I realized when I was at the pitch was that there was a lot of rubber infills. Every step I took, I felt like it was either too soft or unbalanced. Within 3 minutes of the game, I jumped and I landed slightly towards my right. My feet got stuck onto the actual turf, which caused my body weight to twist my ACL, snapping it, with my meniscus spinning out.
Sports medicine specialist Patrick Yong operated twice on James' knee.
How are you doing?
Obviously, I've stopped playing football for 9 months due to this injury, and my stamina and my endurance isn't fully here yet.
What kind of a quick check on your knee, right? And this, academically, so far, there is no strong evidence saying playing on artificial turfs will induce more injuries. Right? But I did see quite a lot of players playing artificial turfs. They end up in some different kinds of problems, right? For example, cartilage problems, tendon overuse problems.
People get injured on natural grass too, they forget. If we maintain the fields properly and they have the correct infill, they're more safe than natural grass.
Simon Bach's company makes artificial turf. The government began using artificial turf in 1981. The Leisure and Cultural Services Department says
the artificial turf pitches resemble natural grass in terms of texture, ball bounce and speed, which meets with the Fédération Internationale de Football Association.
The artificial turf is quite hard. Whenever you fall, people are more prone to get more abrasion injuries and even light burn injuries because of the heat and the frictions, which is relatively much harder or larger than the natural grass.
When the sun beats down on artificial turf, heat is trapped in the infills because they're just rubber that retains heat but not moisture. Whereas natural grass is 70% water from rain and ground sources that cools down to ground when it evaporates. Research shows natural grass surfaces can remain around 30 degrees Celsius throughout the day, while artificial turf can reach 72 degrees shortly after noontime.
We are very worried that this kind of high temperature environment can be detrimental to the health of the athletes playing on the field.
When I first arrive to the pitch, I'll realize a very hot kind of feeling coming from my feet, and you feel the heat really going towards your soles. Personally, I've seen people's football boots melt because of how hot the ground actually gets. At times I would really feel a large amount of discomfort, which makes me actually come out of training.
The Leisure and Cultural Services Department says.
To reduce the field surface temperature, each pitch is provided with rain guns for cooling down.
The specification currently being used by the government here is a very hot system with a big, thick rubber shock pad or a heat bank under the field, and then the turf is filled with a little bit of sand and a lot of black rubber. They're just the wrong design for Hong Kong. There are much cooler systems.
Simon Bach's firm make this new generation AstroTurf in Happy Valley Sports Ground. It uses synthetic beige-colored rubber. It's 11 a.m. The temperature 26 degrees Celsius. Using a temperature gun, Simon measures the traditional black rubber infill, 58 degrees Celsius.
This is the new generation with beige-coloured infill rubber, 43.
Same as the temperature of this orange rubberized running track, still hotter than this nearby grass field, only 37 degrees. LCSD now manages 43 natural grass and 38 artificial turf pitches. 2 were converted last month to artificial turf. 3 more grass plots will be changed next year.
This government policy, I think, is very short-sighted. We are talking about reducing the urban heat island effect. Cities like Tokyo, they are trying their best to convert the hardcover and the artificial turf into natural turf so that they become cool island. And we are doing the opposite. Isn't that funny?
Because of limited space in Hong Kong, so the government has to build in a more artificial turf, which is supposed to be easier in maintenance and that can allow more people to use it.
LCSD's data shows a grass pitch can sustain 60 1.5-hour sessions of ball playing per month, and artificial turf 270, 4 times the frequency.
You don't want to create fields that will harm your people and harm the environment. If you manage your natural turf using high-level skill, you can increase the playability of the natural turf.
Here in Happy Valley, apart from artificial turf, is this area of natural grass and century-old trees, the Hong Kong Cemetery. Surrounding the grounds are these frangipani flowers, or commonly known as egg flowers, for their white and yellow colors. By all accounts, families of those interred here planted the trees so that when they're unable to visit, the fallen flowers will still decorate the tombs. 3 years ago, Sharon Weil started visiting the cemetery to practice sketching. But gradually,
the sketching really took a back seat because I really saw lots of little things that I thought needed adjusting.
Including how the sanitation staff maintained the natural grass.
They used to rake the ground to bare earth. Probably just feeling that it was cleaner to do that. But what was happening was they were removing all the small plants and it was contributing to soil erosion.
Sharon and husband Luke come to inspect the soil erosion in this cemetery housing around 6,000 graves.
It's still quite dry here. You can still see the roots growing through. Still a bit of soil erosion here. The reason you have this hole here is because you have large amounts of water that wash down here.
Last year, she and her friends founded a conservation group, Friends of Hong Kong Cemetery, to fight for better management of the site, currently under the Food and Environmental Hygiene Department.
They're the government organization that takes care of restaurants and Dai Pai Dong, and they, for historical reason, they take care of all the cemeteries in Hong Kong. Looking after it like a normal cemetery is not enough. Some of these graves are 150 years old, they're rotting away. Soil erosion really deserves special attention.
So we can see here very clearly that there's a very large erosion problem that's beginning to affect the graves. And it's also beginning to affect the trees.
The government denies there's any soil erosion, but admits
our contractor had excessively cut the vegetation. We stopped the contractor and gave it a serious warning. We also instructed that contractor to replant vegetation as a compensatory greening measure. We will enhance our supervision of works to prevent such incidents from happening again.
I'm very happy that the FEHD office, they've agreed to stop doing that. What I would like to do is to really ask for a dedicated manager who will be looking after the landscape of the cemetery.
The group helped the cemetery management to repaint the chapel in its original white color and to fix the broken door and benches. It also pushed for historic grading of the 170-year-old cemetery to raise public awareness of its value.
Chinese, I think, do have a kind of superstitious problem about coming to the cemetery. Westerners, they see a garden cemetery that is kind of place where you can go and relax. They're a tourist attraction and heritage interest as well.
Well, thank you for watching our show. It will be re-aired on Monday and Saturday, as well as on tvb.com. Until next time, from the Pearl Report team, good night, good luck, and good health.